Jamie, how you doing, brother?
Good, thanks, Chris.
Been through the freaking mill, mate, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. Been it's been an experience.
Yes, well, you know how it goes, mate. Anything I can do to help out a fellow Royal Marine, I'm always going to do, especially in this neck of the woods, because I don't want to like upset anyone here, but there is a lot of people in the veterans community. They never put their neck on the line. Do you know what I mean? And I I always, as a former Royal Marine, you know, I might not have like physically signed on any dotted line, but the idea was I swore to protect the public.
Exactly, mate.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people, especially if I say, in recent years, I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. They freaking swerved this one, and so when I get a brother that's willing to put his neck on the line as I have done.
I think deep down, Chris, there's lots out there that do, but they just need a nudge. Then I think and I think everyone's ready for that nudge now. I think because they can see the country's going downhill fast.
We'll come on and talk about that because that's been the subject of like what I've been spending this week researching because it goes deep, But
Yeah.
before that, so friends at home, Jamie was uh, held on remand 20 days in the nick for a Facebook post, and the Facebook post. And Jamie, you can come in and correct this if I get it wrong, but the Facebook post was after the Southport murders, and Jamie suddenly found himself up against charges of hate crime, which subsequently, when it went to court, I think the jury took like 20 minutes, mate, didn't they, to go, this is a load of nonsense. What is this wasting the court's time for? Um, Over to you, brother.
Yeah, well, I made a video. Actually, it was a 12-minute video on the 31st of July in the aftermath. It was a couple of days after the Southport incident. I think that was on the 29th. And I called on the community because I got two young daughters myself, and after listening to what happened up in Southport, I think everyone was horrified. So I wanted to call on the community to get together and have a meeting about safety procedures we can implement locally in the schools and parks. I also called on the local councillors, the MPs, and the police to get involved in this because at the time, there were riots up in Leeds and Manchester leading up to that. There was also a few other incidents that were very concerning. I think, not I think, an army, a serving army guy got stabbed to death on his doorstep. There was a few other things leading up to that, and I was really concerned for the safety at the time and for our most vulnerable, which are obviously our children. Anyway, a week later, no, it was on the um, 9th of August, I got arrested at my workplace where I am now. I came out to meet the police because my girlfriend had give me a phone call, told me they'd been to the house, my home address. There were five police officers there altogether, two in plain clothes, and the others were in uniform. And then so I had an idea that it was if it was something small, then they wouldn't be sending that kind of amount of police officers. So anyway, went out to meet them. There was only two outside here. They were both police in army uniform. Sorry, in police uniform. I switched on my camera and asked them if everything was okay, and they told me there was nothing to worry about. And yeah, I went down to meet them, asked them what it was about, and then they told me about my charge, and they said that I was getting charged with indecent racial hatred, which wasn't the charge. It was trying to incite racial hatred. Um, I asked them how long I was going to be, and they told me I wouldn't be long. And then they said, because I was filming them, they said, "Are you okay for me to have your camera?" And I said, "No, not really." And I stepped back and put it in my pocket, and they kind of lunged at me, grabbed my arm, and put me to the rear and handcuffed me to the rear. And from there, I was taken to the police station. I was cuffed for about an hour and a half altogether to my rear, and I had a shoulder injury at the time, so I kept telling them that it was hurting. So if they could cuff me to my front, and they said, no, because of your reaction, we have to keep you cuffed to the rear. And I literally just stepped back, put my phone in my pocket. So anyway, they told me that when I get to the police station that the interview was already prepared and that I would be going straight in. And when I got to the front desk, they told me it was a maximum charge of 7 years, and I was in disbelief. I said, "Well, for a Facebook post?" And they said it was trying the Public Order Act, trying to incite racial hatred. And from there, then I was put in a cell, and I didn't actually have my police interview till the following day. In the meantime, I was denied a phone call till after the interview as well, which kind of channeled me into taking the duty solicitor. Before the police interview, he told me that I was possibly facing terrorism charges and that they were going to possibly bring my missus in guilty by association because she lived with me. And that really did kind of scare me then, because I was thinking, bloody hell, take me and my missus, and my little girl's got learning difficulties. She's always with us constantly, so that was really worrying. But he explained to me that they were taking sentences out of my video, isolating them and interpreting them as racial hatred and inflammatory, basically trying to say that my kind of video was the reason for the inciting racial hatred towards these riots that were happening at the time, and basically kind of saying that through stuff like myself, the videos I made and other Facebook posts, that these were the reasons for the riots at the time. And like I said, I clearly stated in my video that if anyone was interested in any kind of violence at all, they can stay away from me. I was interested in just having a meeting with the police, the councillors, and the MPs to kind of mitigate what was happening. And yeah, so there I was, because I had the interview late on a Saturday, and the courts are shut on the Sunday. I had another day in the police station then till I went to the magistrates court on the Monday. My solicitor at the time convinced me to go no plea, which I was telling him I wanted to go no guilty all the time. But he was saying, look, you need to think about it, because from what's gone on so far, people have been jailed for up to 2 to 4 years for the similar kind of thing. And he said, if you do get a sentence of 3 years, then you'd be missing a year off your sentence. So you really need to think about it. But I was just saying to him, I haven't said nothing racial. I said, look at the video. But he couldn't even look at the video, because the video that they'd uploaded to the portal where they view the evidence, my video wasn't working. It was buffering. And they were just going off the transcript, and there was errors on the transcript as well. One of the errors, they changed the word they to I. So then it read that I started a riot en masse instead of they started a riot en masse. And when the video doesn't work, they're just going off the transcript. And I tried to correct them on, like they even had the name of my video wrong. And I tried to correct them in court just to put my hand up and say that the name of the video was wrong. And the judge kind of shut me down, saying this isn't a place for you to talk. And my bail application was denied because they said he feared that I was likely to cause further offences, even though I got no previous criminal record. And then I was remanded in custody till my next plea date in Crown Court. And that was about 12 days later, roughly 10 to 12 days later. And on that, when I pleaded in Crown Court then, I had new solicitors at the time, because them actual solicitors as well, when I had a video call with them from the jail, they tried to talk me into having a mental assessment because of certain memes that I posted, and they thought that I'd been suffering from post-traumatic stress because of these memes. And the meme was just, it was a dinghy of migrants on the top, and underneath there was a veteran sleeping in a camouflage sleeping bag, and it read, "These give nothing and get everything," and this man's gave everything and gets nothing. So to me, that blatantly means it's a veteran. And they were saying stuff like, what makes you think he's a veteran? Is it because he's sleeping in a camouflage sleeping bag, and it's your post-traumatic stress thinking that he's a veteran? I said, no, it's the words. And then I went on to say that, our government have been in war with these countries for the past 2 to 3 decades, and in my opinion, that's what's creating the hate, not us back home. And now we, giving them benefits and letting them into the country, expecting that they're going to forget about all that. And they said, yeah, we think you need a mental assessment. So I literally got rid of them the next day. I had a new solicitor, and I told them, look, I'm not going no plea. I said, no plea got me in jail last time. I said, no plea to me is guilty. I said, I'm going not guilty. And yeah, I didn't want him to put a bail application in on that day because I wanted him to get a bit of background on me. Because I'd literally just met him that morning, and so when I went not guilty, the judge remanded me in custody till my court case. But she knew that I had one more kind of bail application. So obviously my court case was in February, so that was 7 months away. But I went back to court a week later, and well, I didn't actually go to court, but my case went to court, and they allowed my bail application. I was released um, on tag with the curfew to be in 10 o'clock every night till 7 in the morning. I wasn't allowed on social media. Um, if I was to have any smart devices that could access the internet and store memory, that the police wanted to know about it, and they wanted to, if they felt necessary, put software on there to track my, internet traffic or social media. And yeah, that was it up until February when not February, sorry. I think in October or November, the Free Speech Union got hold of me because they'd heard about my case and I'd pleaded not guilty, and they sent me a message saying that they were interested in representing me, and yeah, I decided to go with them because this is a free speech issue, and I thought they were specialists at this. And when I had my first meeting with them, they couldn't believe I had a tag on for an online offence. So they asked me if I wanted that off, and I had that off within a week, my tag. And yeah, they were just in disbelief for that. And I so obviously stuck with the Free Speech Union all the way through, which I do recommend to anyone join the Free Speech Union now, especially these days, especially if you're outspoken. Because in my opinion, if I'd had them on day one at this police station, I probably wouldn't have gone to jail at all, because they couldn't believe that, my human rights weren't even looked at, and my freedom of speech. And these duty solicitors didn't mention anything like that at all.
Yes. And I don't know a lot about this new Veterans Charter, Jamie, but what I do gather is it's well-meaning people that would like people to acknowledge that veterans are slightly different to other people, not better or anything like that, but our mental state, um, or our life experience rather is a better word, deserves, like handling the right way, let's just say. And the fact that you're a former Royal Marines commander, you've passed the toughest military infantry training in the world to serve your country, which you have done. And the fact that a police officer who probably does 3 months training and then goes down the donut shop, sorry folks, I'm being facetious, but you get what I mean, has put handcuffs on you. This is like Rambo First Blood. This is, this is like the whole point of the film Rambo is let's let's
Exactly.
treat people.
If I wanted to, they wouldn't have put the handcuffs on me, but I was peacefully coming with them anyway. And for them to handcuff me to the rear was, you know, I don't know. Well, they would. It's a kind of them having power over you in a way, and I was just letting that happen, and they made out that I was struggling, and if they would have known if I was struggling, I didn't struggle at all.
Jamie, let's talk about your military service and what was your motivation to join up?
Um, well, just a lot of my friends had joined at the time, and they were telling me about their experiences, and I just don't know, been that kind of way inclined as a kid. Loved the outdoors, like the bit of an adventurous life, and I was a profession. Well, I was an apprentice footballer before I joined the Marines. So when I went into the careers office and I actually met a Marine, he asked me what was I doing before, And I told him that. He said, "Oh, you're quite fit." And he said, "Why don't you try the Royal Marines?" And I like the idea of Marines. To be honest with you, I was quite green to it all. I didn't really know much about it, but I'd watched a good few films with the Marines in, so I kind of I thought, yeah, that sounds all right. And he set me up on the PRMC. I went away and I kind of really done well, and it gave me a confidence boost because I'd had a lot of knocks in football before that. And yeah, once I came back, I signed straight up to join the real thing. And
What year was that?
I was in 1999. I was 771 troop. My troop actually got filmed going through training. It was yeah, and I passed out as an original. I think I was one of 11 out of the 50 odd that started, and I had the PT medal because, like I said, I was quite fit.
Hmm.
And, yeah, I kind of
You
excelled at all the fitness stuff.
you were really lucky to go through training then. It
Yeah.
was that's when it got really easy.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
going to bite on that one, Chris.
wake up, mate. What was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. But yeah, and you're being humble, mate. That's what I was going to say because you weren't just a football apprentice. It was Man U, was it not?
I schooled by forms with Man U, so that's the age 14 to 16. I unfortunately they didn't take me on, but I was set up with a load of other trials after that. I ended up signing with Oxford United. Steve McLaren was the manager at the time. He signed me up, and in the kind of closed season where the period of time where I had that trial and then I would start, he took a job with I can't even remember who it was now. But anyway, he left and the new manager come in. I didn't really get on with, so I stuck it out for about a year. Left there and went to Cardiff City to finish my apprenticeship, and I actually played a game in the first team for Cardiff City. And yeah, I've played quite a high level of football for a while. I'm still playing now as a veteran. Still play for
Brilliant,
my local veterans team and the Welsh over 45s.
brilliant. And did I see you served in Iraq and Sierra Leone?
Yeah, done two tours in Sierra Leone, done a Northern Ireland tour, and I went to Iraq on Optelic one.
Wow. Um, the Sierra Leone bit, was that anything related to that SAS raid?
Yeah, yeah,
You can't
that
talk about
happened.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've
We
heard.
um we went there. I think it was in the year 2000. So when all the kind of troubles happened at the diamond mines and the kind of yeah, all the um all the locals were having a lot of trouble coming in and being basically bloody chopped up.
Yes. Yeah, I've had Phil Campion on the show and Colin McLaughlin, and they've spoken about that. And yes, this is just an aside. Folks, we are going to come back to Jamie's um, wrongful arrest, but you know, I was saying to you earlier, we was a bit naive. I personally feel. I mean, I was like 18. I was 17, I think, when I did we called it the PRC back in my day, potential recruits course. I think I was 18 when I stepped through the gates of Limpston Commando, and next thing you know, you're lining up for. I'm just going to say certain medical procedures.
Yeah.
Something I wouldn't. I'd like. I just. It just. It's criminal what we just let them do to us with no knowledge. And I know a lot of veterans out there probably thinking, oh, what are you talking about? And I can't explain here, folks, but like I'd run a mile from that sort of stuff now. And we were
It's a
talking.
sensitive subject to talk about, especially on YouTube, because this kind of stuff gets censored. But yeah, for myself, I've had quite a serious medical issue then that's come from their medical procedures, and since I've been trying to tell people to avoid that kind of thing, because yeah, I've got a blood cancer now. I've had it for over 10 years, and in my opinion, it's definitely come from that.
Yes, yes, no, mate, very brave of you to say, but I expect nothing less from a Royal Marine.
And
Um,
say I see a lot of the same kind of coercion going on that we had in the Marines to take these medical procedures as the same that was going on during COVID and the pandemic.
well, yeah, absolutely, and it's yes, it's confusing. Life is confusing for a lot of people who just go along with the mainstream narrative because it's all they know. Um, like I say, it gets a bit deeper. We might touch on that a bit in a minute because what's happening in the UK, the planned destruction of our society, this is nothing new. This goes back to Russia over 100 years ago. I believe my history is not particularly brilliant, but I do know this this particular strategy, you could say. And a lot of people think it kind of stops with the government. Like we've just got this inept government that can't make the right decisions about immigration and da 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 da. But yeah, we'll come on to that. So, what was it? I mean, what was the effect on your family?
Well, with the arrest and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like I said, I got a young girl with learning difficulties, and we don't let her out to play at all because she's just not ready for it. So she calls me and the missus. She says we're her best friends, and when you take one of them away, it's quite a lot of work for my girlfriend as well. When we share that kind of work, looking after her in basically we do everything for her. Even dressing her, um, bloody feeding her. She can feed herself, but she's totally dependent on us. And she didn't have a clue where I went. We couldn't tell her because it would frighten her. And she's coming outside the house every day when her car pulls up outside, like she normally does when I come home, because she just wants me to play with her straight away. So that was taken away. I actually missed both their birthdays, my missus and my little girls. So I had to sing happy birthday down the phone to my daughter. And she couldn't understand that it wasn't a video call. So she was trying to show me, look at all my presents. And I just had to pretend saying, yeah, that's brilliant, babe. And that was really hard. I actually cried after singing happy birthday down the phone to her because she really wanted me to see her presents. And I couldn't, couldn't share that experience with her. And I got released on the day of my girlfriend's birthday, even though they said that I was at bail about 10 o'clock in the morning. They didn't release me till 7 o'clock in the night. So by the time I'd got out, gone through the process of leaving the jail, her birthday had gone as well. And then afterwards, yeah, the stress afterwards of, the unknown, seeing all these other people going to jail for nothing really. Some people going to jail for calling it a terrorist attack. And now we know that it bloody was. And like I said, people got in there. They were making space in the jails, leaving quite some serious prisoners out, and making room for people who've wrote stuff on Facebook. And to me, that just obviously doesn't make sense to anyone.
And this, what were the freedom people called? Did you say?
The Free Speech Union, and they've got memberships there. I've just joined the minimum one, which is £30 a year, and I think there's a £60 one and a £250 one, kind of silver and gold memberships. But to me, that's an insurance policy right now against all this free speech crackdown, because these are the guys you want in your corner. Because, like I said, if you get them duty solicitors, in my opinion, they are there to do a job and not for us.
Yeah, got
And
you, got
this
you.
this free speech union, they're specialists. Like, they when they were in court, they were so impressive, and they were breaking down the kind of the laws behind free speech and what you can and can't say, especially in a kind of politically motivated video like mine was. Then there are further kind of barriers, and that um, you can kind of be more. What's the word I'm looking for? But you can express yourself even more in a political way than if you was non-political then. So they knew all the kind of background and the laws behind all this, and yeah, they really, like I said, it took 17 minutes for the jury to decide whether I was guilty or not. And I think they decided after the first day, just after watching my video, which pretty much everyone who's seen my video would just thought it was crazy that I was arrested in the first place. But we know now that it was a Labour councillor that reported me, and I did criticise Labour Party and their policies in the video. So to me, this was a politically motivated arrest against myself because I spoke out against them.
Is your video still online?
Still online, Chris. It never even had a warning off Facebook at the time. They doubled the views on it because it was about 10,000 views at the time. Now there's about 17 and a half last time I checked. So they made it more kind of, they highlighted it more, even though they said they were inciting the riots and all that. So why didn't they ask to get that taken down? Like I said, there was no warning off Facebook, which was heavily censored at the time. And I know Mark Zuckerberg has since has relaxed more of the censorship online, but that came after my video. So there was no warning on there at all. And I missed out earlier that in the investigation, so when my police, looked at my video in the investigation to find racial hatred or any kind of crime, 3 police officers that viewed it all said that there was no crime and no racial hatred in there. So how it got to the CPS is anyone's guess.
What was the feeling like then to walk out of court a free man?
Well, I didn't actually go to court. Like I said, I actually walked up the jail. It was a weird feeling because that day I was kind of,
Sorry, can you just explain that for us, Jamie? If you had a jury who took 20 minutes to, chuck this out or give not guilty verdict, how does that work?
So they have a jury of 12,
Yeah.
and they listen to obviously to the whole court case, and at the end is summarized by the prosecution and the and my barrister to put their points across to what they want to prove, and then they have to leave the room and they have to pick the chief juror. So he's the guy that stands up and says guilty or not guilty. And then they come back and obviously they go back to the room. They discuss whether my solicitor was preparing me. He said this could go on for 1 day, 2 days, or even a week. They came back within 17 minutes. So they chose that chief juror in that time as well. And I had to walk to the room and come back. So really, I think they took about 5 to 10 minutes to decide.
So I'm a bit confused. So you're in court. You've heard the not guilty verdict. What did you just walk free from the court?
Oh yeah. Sorry, that was a little bit surreal. He just when it was not guilty, the judge kind of just said, "Okay, that's the verdict. You're not guilty, and more or less you're free to go and walk out." And within minutes, I was allowed to leave the court and walk out. And if it went the other way, I would have been led down to the cells and awaiting probably a lengthy sentence. So it was a bit kind of surreal that it was all over like within minutes.
And what's the response been from the public since you were released of all this?
In the favour of me, absolutely brilliant. Even when leading up to the court case and when I got arrested, I really did have the whole community behind me, and they were just so pleased for me. I've had so many lovely messages. I've had a GoFundMe page set up to help me out because I missed about 5 weeks in work, 3 weeks in jail. The week I came out, the police had my phone, didn't have any appointments set up, and the week through court. So it did hit me financially. Obviously, slandering my name as well in my business, and I have got mixed race clients. I've got migrant clients as well. Like I said, I've never been racist, and even my migrant friends, when I came out of jail, I had a bit of a gathering, just people who supported me, and some of my migrant friends came along to that, and they were really kind of so saddened with what's happened, and they were still backing me.
Do you want to promote your business, mate? You're more than welcome to.
I got a holistic health business. Then I do sports massage. I do oxygen therapy, so I've got a few oxygen concentrators, and that gives out 100% oxygen, which got lots of benefits for breathing conditions and a few other things. And then I sell supplements, natural supplements like CBD and medicinal mushrooms and all the other kind of things that are getting popular at the moment in a way of natural supplements. So that's my business.
Yeah, I've recently bought some mushrooms. People are swearing by them, and so I thought I've got to see what everyone's talking about. I don't know with my mad head whether I'm going to notice any difference in my neural pathways or whatever, but
Lion mane is good for cognitive function.
yeah,
That's a good mushroom.
I'm not
And
sure.
yes, lots of these different mushrooms, they got lots of different properties and they help the body in lots of different ways. Like I take turkey tail, I take lion's mane, and cordyceps. And cordyceps is good for sport and performance.
So we had a chap on the podcast, Mike McCarthy, former para, served in the Falklands, uh, very extreme guy. He did a base jump off the was it off the Empire State Building? Yeah.
Wow.
Managed to get hooked up on a lamppost, so they promptly arrested him. But Mike, very well educated. Mike, he's been an international reporter in war zones or in conflict zones, I should say, around the world, and he pointed me in the direction of something called biological Leninism, which sounds at first like a bit of a complicated topic, but when you look at what's going on in the UK now, then you understand it's actually not very complicated to understand at all. I'm just going to lay this out there because
What is it, Chris? What is that?
yeah, I'm laying it out there, Jamie, because I'm passionate. Like I got a dog in this fight, and it doesn't mean I'm angry or I'm out for nothing like that. But you know these procedures we talked about,
Mhm.
because my family aren't so, let's just say
So,
advanced on their journey as I am. I've had 5 of them
yeah,
serious,
I'm in the same position, Chris. Yeah, with my
seriously
family.
affected. The crazy thing is, some of them don't even realize what it's from. Even though it's things
Well, the
starting.
worrying thing is, Chris, that people like Bill Gates is saying, that was pandemic one, and we will have pandemic two, and
Yeah.
I feel that that's coming shortly.
And what the public don't understand is Gatesy, they're in a dark network, and that's
Right.
what they do, and what's what they do best. They network their global order, you could say, the way they want the world to be. And what they're doing is they're using this strategy called biological Leninism, which, like I say, I think it came up under the Bolsheviks in Russia, where under Lenin, where it first was put into practice. And in times gone by, your leaders, your cabinet, your government, it, it would be made up of, say, strong characters, people who had their own wealth, so they weren't swayed by what other people's influence, this kind of thing. A bit like in the old days, knights were chivalrous. They had a code of ethics, this kind of thing. Well, this is how like the running of countries was at certainly in Europe at one time. And what biological Leninism did was to replace, say for example, in England, you'd have strong white men with who are steady on their feet, who weren't swayed by every silly agenda that came along, and wouldn't stand for nonsense. And what's happened is these characters have gradually been replaced with what people would think is a lefty agenda. Let's let's get our quota of gay people in power, and Rastafarians, and migrants, and and you physically see that with people like Sadiq Khan, the anyway. And what it is
Like, in my opinion, is and it's been quite disappointing for me to see recently what's happening with Rupert Lowe, because I think, like I said, he's a strong white man, talking about things that don't people don't really want to talk about, and now he's come under fire this last week, and I
yes.
find it really really disappointing.
And what they're doing, what they're doing, this dark network is they're putting together this conglomeration of marginalized people, people of ethnicity, people of gender, sexuality, all this stuff, and they're giving them like this kind of home, like for example in labor, where the person then feels accepted for who they are, and as a result they then swear their allegiance and loyalty to this party, and they're going to do anything that they're told to do. Whereas your strong sort of independent character would be like, no, I'm not, I'm not locking the people of Britain up for 18 months. Well, what utter nonsense are you talking? And when I put it like that, now people can see how this concept, this biological concept, has pervaded all levels of our society. The police being a absolutely classic example of where this multi kind of welcoming approach, that we've got a quota, we need this many, I don't know, whatever it is, ethnic people from this ethnicity, rather than actually get people that can do the job. And you've experienced the worst end of this. And
We've seen the kind of, well, it was probably started before then, but the two-tier policing during COVID, with the COVID marches, the police were dealing people a lot differently than they were with the Black Lives Matter protests, where they were taking a knee in some places, where they were defacing statues, cenotaphs, basically causing chaos. And whereas the COVID protesters were standing peacefully and being dealt with very heavy-handedly, then let's say, and then we can see, coming on from there, recently, where there's been riots, obviously, up in Leeds and Manchester before the so-called far-right riots that happened in the aftermath of the Southport incident, and then them two separate groups were dealt with a lot differently.
yes, absolutely, Jamie. And this dark network, they fund these groups. They're playing everybody off against each other, and
Yeah.
the only recourse of kind of complaint that people have is against the government, who they foresee as the people responsible for this. So you've got you mentioned the dinghies. People are got this misguided notion, oh, that's a government problem. It's our inept government that they can't employ the military to patrol the shorelines, and that's why we've got they don't know it. This is all planned in advance. I appreciate I sound a bit mad saying this. I am aware that
I agree, Chris. Yeah.
it's planned in advance. They are playing the divide and control of society. They are going to cram as many foreigners. And you're not racist. I'm not racist, mate. We're former Royal Marines commandos. We don't sign up to that shit, In fact, I'd say we that would be the sort of thing we would fight against.
Yeah.
But the plan is to cram as many foreigners into this country to disintegrate society, to fragment communities, to destroy establishment like churches, etc. Things that give people social cohesion. They want more and more people cocooned in their little bubble in their home with their social phobias and connecting only through the internet, and it's happening before our eyes. But I
Seen on GB News last week, there was a village of 700 people somewhere in England, and they've had 800. They've moved 800 migrants in there in within a short period of time, literally overwhelmed that village, and they didn't even have a say in it. Now, then people are saying that, they see in the foreigners that have just been moved in, bloody going to the toilet in the middle of the street in the fields and walking around in gangs, and people are literally afraid to go out to their houses now because they just don't know who these people are. They could be coming in, they could recently come in unvetted. Why are they coming in that way anyway? Because it's cheap enough to come in on a plane. But in my opinion, they don't want to come through our kind of our system where they would, their passport will be looked at and something might flag up on there where they won't be allowed in. But if they come in on a boat, they get everything free as well.
It's just insanity, Jamie. You you if you want if a country wants to be a good example to developing nations or countries that are struggling in warfare, do you know the way to do it is by not becoming that country, by showing fine upstanding citizenship and governance and creating a fair and equitable society. What the strategy of the dark network is to brainwash everyone to think, well, the way to be a good person is to, like, let's destroy our countries, and bring it down to, bring it down to this level, and that will make us good people. And of course, when you look at it like that, you see the utter nonsense of it. And I've used this example a lot. I've got to be a bit careful here, but I drove a bus to India and back once, and I'm not even going to mention the name of the country, but I was in one country, and no disrespect, that you meet wonderful people everywhere, don't you? But culture is something we don't understand. You cannot just bring another culture into your own and think that they're all going to start waving the Union flag and singing the national anthem. Two things I actually don't do, but I'm using the example, right?
These cultures as well, we in this country have we treat women equally, and they don't in a lot of these countries, and they come over here and they think they can do the same as they did in their home countries, and then they're not being properly punished, for because they're giving them leniency because, oh, that's their culture where they come from. And if we want to be doing everything fairly, they should be punished exactly the same. And if they are caught, doing serious crimes as in rape against women or against underage girls, then they should, in my opinion, they should be deported regardless of their human rights. They're a danger to the country.
Yes. So I would encourage people listening, I got to be careful what I say, because my job is a big part of my job is on YouTube, and they have rules. If you break those rules, they take your platform down. It's that simple. And I think I have a good voice that helps a lot of people, so I don't want that to happen. So if people are, you got to do your own research, folks. You got to look at events like what happened in New York and Washington that 20 years ago. You got to look at events like, maybe medical narratives. You got to look at these conflicts that we've been involved in, and it's really, really simple. Who gains from them? Who gains? And when you work that out, then then you're going to get a great understanding of the enemy within, so to speak. Jamie, on that note, brother, great chat. Is there anything you want to add before we say goodbye?
Just we need people to speak out. You just got to be careful. Obviously, be careful. Don't post anything that could be looked at as hate speech. Just be careful, because you can't get your point across in the correct way without being too abusive. And I would really tell everyone to go and have a look at the Free Speech Union, because if you are spoken out, I think you really do need them, as a backup. And if you do end up finding yourself in a police station, then call on the Free Speech Union, because these guys, like I said, I don't think I would have spent one day in jail if it wasn't for that. And jail is a dangerous place at the moment. We do have a lot of foreigners in there, and if they find out the kind of charge you're in for, then you could be in danger. And it's scary times, Chris, to be honest with you, because that's the kind of thing we're facing.
Yes. And obviously, friends at home, it goes without saying, I'm not a racist. Jamie's not a racist. I say we've got respect uh, for all beings. We're not in any way.
And the
Uh,
things we're talking about as well, Chris, I think immigrants who come into the country, really good immigrants that have come here, they're doing a good job, they want to raise families like us, and they're just looking for safety themselves. They are leaving these countries because of that kind of thing back home, and I'm sure 90% of them are on our side as well. We just want the kind of radicalism and the hate speech taken out of this country so that we can all feel safe with each other, because I'm sure we can get along with all the migrants that are here, apart from the ones who are here to cause us harm and to brainwash people into starting something even bigger. And that to me is there's no tolerance for that. I think these people should be found and deported or put in jail or whatever needs to happen, because we have been far too lenient on the radicalization in this country at the moment.
yeah, and I just want to give a couple more examples to finish. Like I say, folks, we're not advocating violence in any way, shape. We're not the National Front. We're just saying that,
We lose if that happens, Chris. If people say it's going to be civil war, we will lose 100%, because the government not in our favor, and we really can't go down that route. We need to do everything diplomatically, and we need to get behind the right parties, and we need to obviously change this government, in our opinion, through the voting polls, and then get us back on the right track and get some common sense back.
yes. I was going to say that I've lived in Scandinavia off and on for a few years, and um, one time I had a, a girlfriend up there, and she was at university, and she had a friend. Well, let's just say their family were immigrants. The girl felt that she was more Swedish than she was in this culture. I think she'd probably been there since she was 6 years old or something. As such, she had she started seeing a Swedish boy. Her father forbade her, and when she said, "Dad, I'm more Swedish than I am from this country," he just pulled out a pistol, and I think you know what I'm getting at, right? It was a shock through a fairly sleepy Swedish town. Then that my very same girlfriend and we worked in supermarkets in Oslo. We were saving money to go traveling, and she was on the till one night doing the sort of late shift, and two Somalian boys came in, lifted up what she described as a machine gun in her police interview, and said, "Give us all the money." Being Swedish, where there was used to be a minimal crime rate, she looked at them and said, "Why?" She wasn't trying to be clever. She didn't understand that she was being robbed, right? Um, and of course, this naivety at this agenda, because it's an agenda. It's cost. I'd say it's cost Sweden dearly.
Well, look at what's happened in Germany just since Christmas. Attacks where and mowed people down, mowed multiple people down, killing children, and they trying to make it out that it's a mental health issue, and it's not. Also, in this country, the amount of acid attacks, and that doesn't come from any kind of British culture that I know, acid attacks, and they are kind of doubling year on year.
Yes, and that's
Again, acid attacks are more against young girls or women that have gone against um, will of
The
that
accepted norms
culture.
of that culture. Yes, of course, of course. Jamie, on that note, we'll leave it there. Um, yeah, I mean, there is a lot more. There's probably a lot more we can say. I'm quite sort of cautious. Um,
I'd like to I'd like to come on again, Chris, and talk about these type things and not actually what happened to me because like I said, I think people like ourselves, it's good to hear it coming from people like ourselves.
yeah, and the final thing I'll say for any, for veterans listening and for the uninitiated, you know, this dark network, they had the ability to lock down the planet. This system that they employ, this the system I discussed, they have, they've corrupted the minds at all levels of society in every single position, from government to banks to church to our
The media.
military, to our
Look
military. And if you're in any doubt how powerful their gameplay is, they locked everybody in the planet in their homes over the bogeyman.
and
Um,
how did they do that? That was through the power of the media. And Bill Gates gave the media in our country 300 million during COVID. And he also paid for all the studies in Oxford University, saying that there was going to be millions of deaths for, overinflating them figures massively just to scare everyone.
yeah, I guess that's what I was going to get. What I was trying to say, Jamie, is folks, don't get angry and cross at the Muslims, even though there's we know what's going on.
90% of Muslims are good, Chris, I believe, and they want the same as us. And they fear, the majority of Islamic terror attacks across the world are against other Muslims. So they have the same fears as us. What we really
Absolutely.
need to do is come together to basically out these radicalization and the hate speech
Yeah.
preachers. And we need to come together because we don't need it going the other way. And then we being kind of pushed up against each other, that would it's never gonna end well. We really need to come together, all the good people.
Yes, absolutely. And we need to understand this is a planned agenda, folks, And if you're blaming the Muslim community, you're completely missing what's going on up there,
Yeah.
and
The World Economic Forum. That's where that's where I believe our Prime Minister is taking his orders from.
yeah, and yeah, I think that's probably also just another level in a whole dark entity. Jamie, I think we said enough, brother. Really enjoyed this. And yes, absolutely would love to chat again. I have other platforms, by the way. So friends, I'll invite Jamie onto our locals platform. You might have earlier seen there it is there, scrolling along the bottom of the screen now. Locals is a free platform, folks. People do pay me a little bit of money there. I'm talking, like £3.50 or something. But it's a free platform, is what I'm trying to say. People pay because they like to support my work. I'll get Jamie on. We'll go over there, and then we'll have a really open chat. You can say, where we exercise the freedom of speech that we both fought for as service personnel. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Jamie, thanks again, mate. I'm sorry you've had to go through what you've gone through. Sorry about your health. But thank you so much, for standing up for the next generation. Someone's got to do it. Friends at home, massive love to you all. Chuck us a like and a subscribe, and let's keep exposing the truth. Jamie, stay on the line.